It seems like everyone in today's market, in today's world, is always giving financial advice. Your mother, your brother, your stepmother, your grandmother, your best friend, everyone is giving advice. And I've heard some of the worst, and I mean worst, financial advice. Clients tell me it's literally ridiculous. As a coach, I talk to people all the time who tell me these things. Well, so-and-so said this is a good piece of advice to hold. And the answer is absolutely not. Hopefully this video, there can be a tsunami of videos that are going to help people stop following these terrible, terrible pieces of financial advice. Here we go. All right, number one is save a lot of money. But Max, everyone says save a bunch of money so you can do stuff with it, so you can have a safety net. And I agree, yes, have a safety net, have a certain amount of living expenses set aside just in case something were to happen, job-wise, career-wise. You're ready for that just in case something were to happen. Medical bills. There's a ton of variables in life. You know, the one thing you should expect in this life is that one thing that happens all the time. It's change. Things happen all the time. I'm just simply saying saving money for the sake of saving money is actually a terrible idea because of my favorite word that I hate talking about, but it seems to be hitting me in the face every single day, and that's inflation. Inflation does this. Eats your money away, which pretty much means this. If you have $1,000 in a bank account today and inflation is, let's say 5%, that means at the end of that year, your money has actually gone down in purchasing power from 1,000 to 950. Do that year over year, and if inflation is between 5, 10, 15, sometimes lower, sometimes higher, let's use 5% though. 5%, your money is losing its value 5% every single year. So if your bank is paying you 1% interest, but you're losing 5%. 5 minus 1, you're still losing 4% in purchasing power. Just to have the sensation that I have money in the bank. Well, you shouldn't have money in the bank except for very, very short-term liquidity, which pretty much means if something were to happen, you're ready for it. You want to have that money working for you? You know, my very, very astute author, I've read many of his books, Robert Kiyosaki says, the rich do not work for the money. Money works for the rich. So you need to figure out how to make that money work for you and get a return on investment back from it, not letting the money just sit there and be eaten away throughout the year. All right, so the long and short of it is save for a purpose, and that purpose is return on investment. You want your money to be working for you, or you want it to be a very, very small amount for short-term obligations. But don't just save because it makes you feel better. I promise you, inflation will eat you to death, and you definitely don't want that. All right, second one, and I hear this one all the time, especially with the absolutely crazy real estate market happening right now, is buy the biggest house and get the biggest loan that you can be approved for. No. And I say this because I've seen so many people in even my circle who are so house rich but cash poor. They're spending so much of their money, of their monthly income on the house that it's eating up almost all their ability to invest and help those dollars grow. And the reality is this. The bigger the house, the more the maintenance cost, the more the property taxes cost, the more everything costs, and it really is a multiplier. A smaller home, though, lower property taxes, lower mortgage, lower interest, lower PMI if you do that, lower everything. And the reality is, do you really need that huge house? And the answer is almost always, invariably, no. Unless you are buying a home with the intention to house hack, rent out extra rooms, rent out the second or third unit, that makes sense to buy a large home to maybe stretch your mortgage a little bit because you'll be getting that back in residual income. But if you're buying a big house just because you want to fit in with the Joneses, with the people around you, because your friends or family around you have big houses you want to fit in, a good rule of thumb is never make a financial decision based upon what someone else is going to think about you, because the reality is this, they don't think about you. And that's a freeing thing. A lot of times, small houses come in very good packages. A lot of times, buying the biggest home you can be approved for is really, usually, almost always a bad idea because you never know what the future holds. You'd rather have a lot less of your income going towards your housing and have that ready to go in case something were to happen so you're ready for it. So the fact of the matter is this. Only buy a house as much as you actually need, not what you think you want. I remember working in insurance many years ago, and I was working with this guy. We were both very junior salespeople there, just trying to figure out where our next sale is coming from. And he told me this. He said, "Wow, I just bought the latest PlayStation." I thought, "Oh, that's cool. That's awesome." And invariably, he unsolicitedly, like most people do, gave me advice on my finances, which he knew nothing about my finances, but I knew a little about his. And he told me, yeah, you know, I know that, you know, if I put this PlayStation on this credit card and just make the monthly payment plus a little bit more, then my credit's going to go up. And I thought to myself, should I burst his bubble, or should I let him live in let him live in his delusion and not come into reality? And he was so gung-ho on this PlayStation and how he's going to pay 15% interest, but no, it's okay because it's going to help his credit score improve. I did not even know what to think about this guy. The advice here is keep a small balance in your credit card and it'll help your credit score improve. But the reality is that is not the case. You want to aim for a $0 balance on all your credit cards, and you want to use them. You can use them for the explicit purpose of borrowing money for 30 days and paying it off at each month and paying no interest. You don't want to keep the money on a balance and paying 15, 20, 25. I've seen credit cards with a high interest rate as high as almost 27%. That is a lot of interest. So if you don't have to keep a balance, and I encourage you, if you need to keep a balance, then you need to adjust your lifestyle down to where you do not have to keep borrowing from credit cards, because those interest rates are going to bite you in the rear sooner or later. Keep your balances at zero and pay off the balance every single month. Credit cards can be either an awesome thing to help you build or a terrible thing and totally destroy you. Make it the good thing and keep zero balances, pay it off every single month. All right, number 4 is a car loan is a great tool to build credit. Although this may be a fact that credit mix, which means just the mixture of your credit accounts, does account for about 10% of your credit score, taking out a loan on a brand new asset, I use asset in quotes, a brand new machinery like a car, and paying interest on it for the next 3 to 7 years as it depreciates more and more each year. If you buy a $30,000 car, the next year it's probably only worth about $25,000. That depreciation is absolutely killer. Making a monthly payment on a depreciating asset is something I avoid at all costs. You're much better off to have 1, 2, or 3 credit cards, put a little bit of balance on them, use them for a tank of gas, grocery store, a little bit here and there, and pay them off every single month. That'll help your credit score a lot more than taking out a car loan. Trust me. Number 5, budgets are restrictive for uptight people and no fun. I love this one because it's so wrong. A budget is what you make of it. It can be restrictive. It can be easygoing. It can be to the dollar. Each dollar is spent on a certain thing. It can be, I just want to spend a certain amount on each category. It can be either as restrictive or as easygoing as you want it. And I wouldn't even call it restrictive. I would call it focused. The question is, how quickly do you want to achieve your financial goals? Because the reality is this. If you want to achieve a goal, yet you only work on it once a week, once a month, once every so often, you're not going to achieve it. However, if you become very, very laser focused on, I want to put this much amount of money into this certain thing, then you can start going from there. If you don't laser focus on something, you're not going to accomplish it. However, if you become restrictive, as some call it, I like to call it laser focused on what the goal is. The goal is I want to put $1,000 as an emergency fund in my savings account. Great. How are you going to adjust your spending to make sure that happens? And that's the question. How can you adjust your actions to make that happen? And the more quickly and the more drastic you make these decisions, the faster you will accomplish your financial goals. If you guys are enjoying this video, please make sure to smash the like button so more people can get better with their finances right now. So smash the like button right now. All right, next bit of advice is number 6. Living with your parents means you're not an adult. You got to grow up, man. I go for this one to an extent, but it's just bashing on someone because their financial situation is different than yours. I've never, ever condoned, and I don't like it because you have no idea what's going on in their life. The fact of the matter is this. You don't have to move out of the house to become an adult. If you're living rent-free, having a good job, and you're waiting until you're in a good spot financially to move out, I can totally go for that. Sometimes we have to make decisions in the present that aren't always fun, that don't always feel good. But the reality is you're making a better financial future so you can be more competent and more free in the future. And that is what taking that approach is. You're delaying gratification for a later time. And that's called being not even an adult, but being a mature adult. There's no pride in having an expensive apartment or expensive condo and being strapped financially every single month. The reality is this. Here's the real good news. Want to hear the real good news about this? No one cares about your situation besides you and your immediate circle. That's freeing though, because if you think someone's going to judge you based upon that you're living at home with your parents or that you live in an inexpensive apartment, is that really the kind of person you want in your life? The reality is no one cares besides you and your circle. So you, do what's best for you financially, and it's okay if you live at home. Believe me, I lived at home for quite some time before I got to a better spot financially. It's okay, and you're not alone. All right, seventh and final, and this is, oh gosh, I hear this one all the time. Go to the best college you were approved for, or you were let in. Take on student loan debt and get a good job. What does that mean exactly? I'm still trying to figure that out. Unless you become a specialized doctor, nurse, lawyer, some type of specialized field, do you actually need to go to college? That's the question I've been asking myself a lot these last few years. With business school teaching theories and finance school talking about, I don't know, corporate finance, I guess that's what they taught us. Did you know that I graduated with a bachelor's degree in finance and I took approximately and exactly 0 classes in personal finance? Why are they not teaching us the things that are actually beneficial to us over the long term as adults? School does not help you with the actual good parts of life. And I have so many friends, so many people around me who have a terrible debt burden because of student loans. They have to spend a ton of money every month just to pay off the college years that they now have behind them, 5 to 10 years behind them. To me, it's just absolutely mind-boggling that I'm paying for something that I received how much benefit for? I don't even know how to measure my college benefit, my university benefit, because everything I learned in university, I could have learned on one of these things, a screen and YouTube and all these free resources. It's really interesting to see how universities are going to contend with places like YouTube because there's so much good knowledge there, and it is free. And I think most people really learn way better by being in part of it. Why the people who become the most successful in this life, in my opinion, are in an industry, work in it, understand that's what they actually want to do, and then follow through with it. Or they work in it for a little while and realize that's not what they do, and they pivot. When you go to university for 4 years or 7, if you go to grad school, and you end up and you start working in the industry and realize you don't like it, you've just wasted 4, 5, 6, or 7 years of your life. To me, that sucks. So you do not need to go to the best college that you were approved for or you were admitted. You don't have to take on student loan debt, and you definitely do not need to get a good job. Those who go into trades, those who are entrepreneurs, those who do something out of the box, in my experience, usually have the highest satisfaction, not just in their job life, but also in their normal life. And having satisfaction in life is so much more important than the dollar figure. All right, question. What bad financial advice have you been given that you did not follow, or maybe that you did follow and regret it? Comment now. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please comment and subscribe to this channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye for now.